Hello my dear students, welcome back to my channel. Today I have come with a video containing main points and MCQs of the chapter Triumph of Surgery. This is the supplementary chapter from your book Footprints Without Feet. So let's get started with the main points and the MCQs. But before that, if you are viewing my video for the first time, do subscribe my channel and hit the bell icon so that you get the notification of all the upcoming videos. Do watch the video till end, and if you like it, do hit the like button and also share it to friends. So let's start with the main points and MCQs of this chapter. So as we all know, this lesson is written by Dr. Harriet. He himself is a narrator and a veterinary doctor, and this story deals with a dog by name Tricky, its mistress, that is owner, that is Mrs. Pumphrey, and Dr. Harriet. He himself writes the lessons or the incidents which happens in with him, and he narrates it in the form of story. So let's see what he has to say to us today. So Dr. Harriet was really worried to see the condition of the dog Tricky. So it happens that Dr. Harriet, he sees the dog Tricky somewhere outside, and he is really worried about its condition. Why? Because he had become very fat, his eyes were red and roomy. So what had happened to the dog? The dog had become very fat. Its eyes were red and roomy. Roomy means it was filled with water. It was watery. Now, after seeing this condition of the dog Tricky, Dr. Harriet was really worried. Now, Mrs. Pumphrey, the mistress of Tricky, had been giving him malt, cod liver oil, and a bowl of Horlicks every night. Now, this Mrs. Pumphrey, she was not having any children, so she kept this Tricky as its child, and she fed the dog over and over and gave all sorts of things every night. So Dr. Harriet found that the only fault of Tricky was his greed for food. So when he saw this fat Tricky outside, he got to know that the only fault that the Tricky would have was his greed for food. Like whatever and whenever you give it, it will never say no to the food. It will have it. So that was the reason why his condition was this today. No, Dr. Harriet was expecting that there would be a call after some days because the condition of the dog was not good. So, as expected, Dr. Harriet received a call from Mrs. Pumphrey within a few days. Now, Tricky was not eating anything and was vomiting again and again. He lay down panting and did not go for a walk. So, as expected, Dr. Harriet got a call from Mrs. Pumphrey, and she was saying about all the difficulties and problems that Ricky was facing. That was his not eating anything, it's continuously vomiting again and again, and it had become so lazy and tired that it was just sitting and panting. Panting means taking breathing breathlessly. Okay, and it did not go for a walk also. It had become so lazy, it was not able to carry on its own weight. So, this was the condition. Though Dr. Harriet had warned Mrs. Pumphrey earlier to avoid its food and keep a check on its diet, but she did not care. And now it was the condition that she had to call the doctor, and she gave all the explanation about the problems which the Tricky was facing. The Dr. Harriet suggested Mrs. Pumphrey that Tricky must be hospitalized for about a fortnight. So this was a suggestion given by the doctor that Tricky must be hospitalized for a fortnight, means for 15 days at least. At the surgery, the household dogs surged around Dr. Harriet, and Tricky looked silently at them lying motionless on the carpet. Now at the surgery, surgery is a place where the dogs are kept for their treatment and all. Okay, a veterinary hospital you can say. So there were many household dogs who were just moving in and around Dr. Harriet. But this Tricky, it looked silently at them, just lying motionless on the carpet in the corner. Now for 2 days, Dr. Harriet kept an eye on Tricky and gave him no food but plenty of water. So here, Dr. Harriet, he just observed for first 2 days, and he did not provide Tricky with any food, but just gave him a plenty of water. No medicines, no surgeries, no operations, nothing. Just avoiding food completely for 2 days, just giving plenty of water. Then, Tricky's progress was rapid, and now he started running about the dogs, joining in the friendly barkings. So now, through this treatment, Tricky's progress was rapid, and he started running about the dogs and joining them in the friendly barkings. Now, Dr. Harriet informed Mrs. Humphrey that Tricky was out of danger and was recovering rapidly. So now Dr. Harriet thought that he should inform Mrs. Humphrey that Tricky is out of danger now and it's recovering rapidly because Mrs. Humphrey was really worried of Tricky's condition. So the doctor informed Mrs. Humphrey. Now, Mrs. Pumphrey was excited to hear the news and started bringing fresh eggs, wine, and brandy to build his strength. So, as soon as Mrs. Pumphrey heard this news that Tricky is out of danger, she started bringing more of the eatables like fresh eggs, dozens of eggs, wine, and brandy just to feed Tricky and to build its strength. So Dr. Harriet called up to Mrs. Pumphrey and said that Tricky had recovered and she could take him home. Now at last, Tricky was all good and recovered and it was ready to go back home. So again, Dr. Harriet called up Mrs. Pumphrey and said that she can take its Tricky with her. Within 2 weeks, Tricky had been transformed into a flexible and hard-muscled animal. So as we saw at the start that Tricky had turned fat and with red eyes. So now here within 2 weeks it had transformed into a flexible and a hard-muscled animal. Just 2 weeks and he had a good transformation there. As soon as Tricky saw his mistress, Mrs. Pumphrey, he leapt and reached to her lap. So it was so happy to see its own mistress that it started jumping and it leapt on her lap. Now, Mrs. Pumphrey called Tricky's recovery a triumph of surgery. So, Mrs. Pumphrey, who had no hope and she had a doubt whether Tricky would be all fine again or what, and now when Tricky is all good and fine, she says that this is a triumph of surgery. Triumph means a success, an achievement. Okay, so achievement of a surgery. Like that. So this is how the story goes, and at last the Tricky goes back to its home along with Mrs. Pumphrey. So this was the lesson. Now let's quickly see the important MCQs of this lesson. First one, the writer of the story, A Triumph of Surgery, is dash. James Harriet, Ruskin Bond, William Shakespeare, or none of the above. And the answer is option A, James Harriet. The doctor himself is a narrator and the writer of the story. Okay, so James Harriet. Next, the story, A Triumph of Surgery, is based on dash animal. Horse, monkey, dog, or cat. And answer is option C, dog. Dog the Tricky. Okay, next. Who does I refer to in the story? Tricky, Mrs. Pumphrey, James Harriet, or none of the above. And the answer is option C, James Harriet. Okay, it is the narrator, that is the doctor in the story. Next, the name of the veterinary surgeon is dash. Hodkin, Mrs. Pumphrey, Mr. Harriet, or Tricky. And the answer is option C, Mr. Harriet. Again, he himself, doctor, a narrator, the writer. Okay, so it's option C, Mr. Harriet. Next, who is Hodkin in the story? Dog, servant, gardener, or owner? And the answer is option C, gardener. So gardener in this lesson was Hodkin. His name was Hodkin. Okay, so answer is option C, gardener. Next, Mrs. Pumphrey called Dr. Harriet because Tricky dash spent all his time panting, had bouts of vomiting, was not eating anything, or all of the above. And the answer is option D, all of the above. As we know, Tricky was not keeping well. It was spending all its time just panting. It was having vomiting and was not eating anything. So all these problems were faced by Tricky. So the answer will be all of the above, option D. Moving to next question. For how many days was Tricky not given food but kept only on plenty of water in the surgery? Is it 2, 4, 5 or 6 days? So answer is option A, 2 days. So we know as Dr. Harriet was observing Tricky for first 2 days without giving any food and just kept giving plenty of water. So answer is option A, 2. Next, who used to give food to the dogs at the surgery? Mrs. Pumphrey, Dr. Harriet, Tristan or Hawkin? So answer is option C, Tristan. So Tristan was an assistant, we can say an helper, or we can say an employee in doctor's surgery where he used to give foods to all the dogs there. So it was Tristan. Option C, Tristan is the right answer here. Next. The meaning of the word scrimmages is dash, laugh, fights, wailing or barking. So answer is option B, fights. It's a friendly fights among dogs which goes on, so that is known as scrimmages. So the meaning of scrimmages is fights. Option B, fights is the correct answer. Next, the word convulsing means dash, recovering, spoiling, worsening, damaging, and it's answer A, recovering. Okay, when you are ill or you are having some treatment and you show a good response and you start recovering, so at that time you call it as convulsing. Okay, so it's option A, recovering. Next one. How many eggs did Mrs. Pumphrey used to send at a time? 1 dozen, 2 dozen, 10 eggs or 15 eggs? So answer is option B, 2 dozen. She used to say 2 dozen of eggs for Tricky to have, to gain the strength. Okay, so option B is the right answer. Next, the meaning of the word chauffeur is dash, servant, owner, private driver or gardener. And the answer is option C, private driver. Okay, so the private driver of your car at your home, if you are having, you call them as chauffeur, who has a perfect uniform with the hats and the gloves and the entire uniform. So that private drivers of the car and the vehicle are known as chauffeurs. So answer is option C, private driver. Next, how many days did Tricky take to recover? 2 weeks, 2 days, 3 weeks or 3 days? And the answer is option A, 2 weeks. Okay, as it was said, fortnight. Fortnight means 15 days. It's ultimately the 2 weeks. So answer is option A, 2 weeks. Next. Did Mr. Harriet perform any surgery on Tricky? Maybe, maybe not. Yes or no? So answer is option D, no. As we know that from the lesson, there was no surgery or operation done on Tricky. It was just observation and avoiding of the food for first 2 days, giving plenty of water, and that is how he came back to his normal health. So it's option D, no. Next, who do you blame for Tricky's illness? Tricky, Harriet, Mrs. Pumphrey, or none of the above? And answer is option C, Mrs. Pumphrey. Yes, its own mistress, its own owner is to be blamed for Tricky's illness because she overfed the dog Tricky with the food and the stuffs without giving proper exercise. So that was the reason why Tricky was ill. Okay, so with this 15 questions, we come to an end of this chapter, the MCQs of this chapter. I hope this video was useful for you all. If you liked it, do hit the like button and share with your friends. Do subscribe the channel for more such videos. We'll be back soon. Till then, stay safe and take care. Thank you.